White US citizens, let's talk. You're afraid right now. These are scary times. And y'all have been telling me about your fears in comments and DMs for over 17 months now. But here's the thing about fears that you may have noticed, and I think this is true both personally and on a societal level. The more you run away from a fear, the scarier it gets. See, 17 months ago, when the US government started mass murdering children in front of us, you started telling me about your fears that if you said things like mass murdering kids is bad and it should stop, you were afraid that your Jewish coworker would think you were anti-Semitic. Fears about your reputation prevented you from saying genocide bad. In the enormous panopticon of things there are to be afraid of, that was a little fear. Quite honestly, I think you should have had the courage to overcome it. Some of you legitimately had a little bit more of a mid-sized fear. You were afraid you would lose your job if you said genocide is bad. Now, in spite of those fears, tens of thousands of people found the courage to say it anyways, genocide bad. But unfortunately, not the majority of us. Not enough. And when you let a tiny fear, like the fear of your reputation and things being awkward with a coworker, get in the way of you speaking out against mass murder, you were handing the powerful people in this country fascism on a silver platter. You were saying, I'm so obedient. I'm such a fucking sheep that you can kill kids right in front of me and I won't say mum in case it makes things socially awkward with a coworker. We could have mass boycotted entire businesses into oblivion, which would have stopped all this in its tracks, but instead y'all said, no, I like my yummy sugary pistachio cream coffee more than I care about the bombing of hospitals. And when you did that, you were handing fascism to the powerful elites in this country on a silver platter. And if you notice, because those little and mid-sized fears scared people enough into silence, now the fears have gotten quite scarier. In fact, now if you say mass murdering kids is bad, genocide is bad, there's a very real threat of deportation and arrest if you're a non-white, non-US citizen. That is the very real situation right now for Mahmoud Khalil, Rumeysa Ozturk, and Mohsen Madawi, who have all been arrested by ICE for saying mass killing kids is bad, bombing hospitals is bad, genocide is bad. But this video is for white US citizens. And look, I know we're all sick to death of this poem, but it is instructive, right? And it is telling us how fascism progresses. And in this case, the identity groups might not be exactly the same. In this case, it's first they came for the immigrants. And us, US white citizens, including Jews like me, all us white US citizens, we're at the bottom. We're still protected by our whiteness and our citizenship for now. And I'm fully aware that Donald Trump wants to be able to arrest and disappear and probably torture and probably just execute without any due process anybody who looks at him funny. But right now we're in a situation where we've had these sort of structural privileges for some people that protect them from things like that. And those structural privileges are going to take a while for him to erode. So right now we're like the frogs sitting in a pot of water and they're slowly turning up the heat. And they're saying, whose disappearances are we going to just be cool with and ignore like we've ignored the mass murder of Palestinian children? They're seeing who can we dehumanize and how much, right? What can we get away with? And so they're going after immigrants, people with foreign sounding last names, Arab people who are among the most dehumanized in US society, particularly ever since 9/11. Hell, they straight up disappeared Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He wasn't even one of the ones saying genocide bad. His only crime is literally just being Latino. And they've disappeared him into a torture industrial-sized prison in El Salvador where he may never see the light of day again. And There's no fucking plan at this point to bring him back. And are we, as a populace, gonna just accept that? If we fail to mass mobilize right now for Kilmar and Mahmoud and Rumeysa and Mohsen, I guarantee you it is a matter of time until it's someone you love or you yourself getting disappeared. That's where we're at, and it is scary. But the point of this poem is, this is a haltable process, and it's much easier to halt it here at the top of the poem than at the bottom of the poem when you have no allies left. We are white U.S. citizens. We have the most protection, and it's time to nut up and be out in front saying things like, genocide bad, free Kilmar, free Mahmoud and Rumeysa and Mohsen, bring all the deportees home. We need to be out in front with our privilege, because this is the moment that determines whether we're going to be part of the resistance or we're going to be a passive Nazi. Those are the only two choices. This is the moment in your lives. Find your courage. Because even if you're not compelled by like morality, like even if you're not bothered by, seeing people mass murdered, seeing fathers disappeared from their families separated, people killed unjustly, bombed, trapped under the rubble, screaming, hospitals getting bombed. Even if none of that bothers you one little bit, find your courage out of self-interest. Even if you're a total hedonist and you live solely for your own pleasure, life's gonna get a lot less pleasurable under fascism. What do you think it's gonna be like when they've locked up all the queers and there's mandatory megachurch attendance every Sunday? Even if you think, I don't care about kids in Palestine, I don't care about queer people, I don't care about any of that liberal shit, you might care when it comes to the fact that these people want to take away the ability for women to sign up for a credit card or have a bank account in their own name. Even if you're a white cis het man and you think, I don't even care about that. Guess what? Even if you spend your life scrambling to lick every single boot that comes from your neck, one day you might not scramble fast enough and cheerfully enough, and you'll find yourself getting disappeared. And there will be no one left to give a shit or fight for you. So white U.S. citizens out in front. It's free Kilmar, Mohsen, Rumeysa, and Mahmoud. It's genocide bad. I wrote a whole book of words for you. If you don't have the words to say it, you can just copy mine. Every disappearance, every day that goes by, it will get harder to resist fascism. When did you think that resisting fascism was going to be easy or not scary? People have been asking me, aren't you scared? Aren't you scared to go on your book tour? Aren't you scared to be having this book come out at this time in history? The thing that scares me most is y'all's silence, y'all's fear, the fear of white U.S. citizens that keeps you quiet in the face of such overwhelming injustice. It is your fear I'm scared of so much more than anything Donald Trump wants to do to me. I got 3 kids. I don't want to be separated from my babies. I don't want to be arrested, but I don't want them to live in this fucking world that we're headed towards. Use your voice. Use public speech. Publicly say that you are against genocide and that you are against mass deportations and that you are specifically against deporting people for saying that genocide is bad. Publicly speak about it. Write an op-ed, post it to social media, get out to a protest, and make your voice heard. And if you're having trouble finding the words or finding the courage, I really do recommend this book. I wrote it for you for this explicit purpose. I know it's weird to do book promo in this context, but this is the capitalist hell world that we're in. So tell me in the comments, how are you going to use your voice publicly to draw a line in the sand and demand the release of our comrades?